Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Psychonaut Sessions, your home for all things psycho. I'm going to start taking a look at another Renegade Press book entitled. For those of you that are familiar with this channel, you know that I kind of started with reviews of Black Zeppelin, which was a Renegade Press book. It was an homage to the legendary Jean Day. It was an anthology, black and white book from the mid-1980s. And for any of you that know me, you know that Black Zeppelin is one of my favorite books of all time. I did all the books in this series. But, you know, any kind of black and white anthology book, especially from the 70s and 80s, is just going to be like prime #1 comics for me. So Renegade Press was started by the ex-wife of Dave Sim, both giants in the independent industry. Denis Loubert and Renegade Press had a pretty good run, I think. They had a lot of pretty interesting titles. Definitely, I think they had some of the best of especially what Canada had to offer in terms of the independent comics industry in Canada, but just all around. They got some wonderful talent. And those of you with a good eye, you're going to see here automatically we have, you know, Steve Ditko as a headliner here, even though it is Rob Snyder's Revolver. So Robin Snyder was a editor, writer. I think mostly did editing for a lot of books for DC, like Batman, GI Combat, Ghosts, which is another anthology DC book, House of Mystery. There's a lot of creators in here that are from that kind of gamut of creators in the mainstream, and they're doing these independent projects at the time. So they call it Revolver because they wanted to start a sci-fi anthology based upon the success of Black Zeppelin, which was more like dark fantasy, a little bit of horror. So they wanted to have something with more of a sci-fi bent. I'm a big sci-fi buff as well. So Revolver is like the revolving door of different creators coming in and out, or the revolver of like a gun, whatever. That was their kind of Robin Snyder's shtick in terms of what he was going for. So the big headliner, Denis Loubert, talks about, of course, is Steve Ditko, in terms of the headlining story that will be kind of prominent for the first 3 issues, apparently. I've got the first 5. I plan to go through them all. And so Denny just kind of lays all this out. It's funny because in the beginning she says she's actually not a big fan of anthology comics. I don't know if that's a great way to get people excited about about the book that you're trying to start. But she gave full reign to Robin Snyder to kind of put together the creative teams and just let them go at it. And here we have Steve Ditko. If you don't know who Steve Ditko is, well, he's the co-creator of Spider-Man, and creator of Doctor Strange. And he's kind of known for being a sort of crotchety recluse. You know, in the later years, after he left Marvel, I think, and started doing some independent work, he wasn't never happy with the state of the industry. He started this book called Mr. A, which I have, which really kind of identifies his very strict moral libertarian compass of his mindscape into the world. You know, he's got very strong ethical framework that he really wanted to propagandize through his work. And you can really see that through his Mr. A work. You start to see some elements of that in this, which is what he calls Star Guider. You know, so that's the headline. I'm not saying much about the cover because, it's cool. It's got Steve Ditko stuff, but I prefer painted covers, especially for my anthologies. So the coloring is just got your primary colors. It's all right. But we are getting a lot of this like Steve Ditko flair and whatnot. So the stories are written by Jack Harris. And Jack Harris, he's been around primarily, in the 70s and 80s. Known a lot for his work at DC Comics. He wrote several issues of Commandi, which was a Jack Kirby book. He did do some stuff at Marvel as well, here and there. But most of all, I mean, he's done a lot of primary titles in the mainstream. So I guess he had a kind of a long-standing friendship or camaraderie with Steve Ditko. And there was a lot of mixed reaction of the two of them whenever he hired Ditko to do Legion of Superheroes at DC. So, I don't really understand a lot of what that was about, other than I think that Steve Ditko can be controversial. I think Jack Harris is in that same compass. Nowadays they might be termed more of being kind of like conservative, right-leaning. But they are very libertarian in the sense of their framework, and that just comes out a lot in their work. It's very prominent and apparent. So we'll take a look here. We just got some really cool. The great thing about Steve Ditko is a couple things. His work is a little cartoony, but his brush work is solid. I love it, and we also get to see some like his cosmic goodness. That's what he's really known for, especially in his Doctor Strange books. And his characters always do have this kind of weird. He's got a cool design sense. I mean, I'll give him that. He kind of took a little bit of that cosmic weirdness that Kirby had, and he gives us like weird little bent to it. Almost kind of a gothic bent to it in a way. His to me, his characters always have this sort of Dracula-esque sort of vibe in their faces, and even the early Doctor Strange work. So what this is that there's this, humankind has gone out into space. It's the far future. There are just millions of worlds that have been inhabited, and then on the very fringes of space is this outpost where people are trying to explore these like outer unknown worlds. And so on this outpost, there's this character named Starguider who has these special powers that nobody really knows about, and people come to him because he can kind of tap into and know what best path to take in these uncharted areas through some kind of psychic power that he has. There's this gal who keeps trying to team up with him, and he's always like, I work solo, I work alone. Very, very 80s-esque for sure. And its makeup. In this particular story, there's this gentleman who needs Starguider's help, but there's this guy in a bar who leads a gang who thinks for some reason that this dude is looking for Starguider's help because he's trying to find treasure. So Starguider takes this fellow with him, and they go out into the darkness. There's some weird scanning things that happen with this particular issue, so some of it was actually kind of hard to read. But anyway, with his special powers, he finds the right path of what this guy is, in particular looking for. It's kind of a mystery, and it's meant to be because this bad guy and his gang members are following them. So as you can see, we get a lot of this like really cool. I mean, Steve Ditko is really great in terms of his work flows really well. He tells a great story with his artwork in and of itself. The sequential flow is perfect. And, all in black and white, you get that nice cosmic vibe. There's a lot of detail, but not too much. And it turns out these bad guys follow them to a particular planet. And this guy wasn't looking for treasure. He was looking for a burial ground to die with his ancestors. It was like a long lost planet of his ancestors. And that was it. Looks like there might have had the end or to be continue box here, and they didn't. There's something about the editing job of this one that doesn't feel as succinct as Black Zeppelin did. So I don't know if Robin Snyder was like under the gun. That's the name of his column. And this first column of the first issue, and Robin Snyder, puts it not at the end, not at the beginning. We have the notes from Denis Loubert, and this made no sense. It was a letter sent in from a viewer who knew this was coming and just kind of talked about how cool it will be to have a book like this, and talks a little bit about Charlton Comics kind of collapsing. So this is kind of where Steve Ditko was coming from at the time. So it's like they were looking for a place to kind of land some of their ideas. And you get that sense. And Robin Snyder's response is just really weird. He just keeps saying, stuff like, while you're impatiently waiting the next issue of Revolver, which features another Starguider adventure, multi-track, da-da-da-da, and he just keeps listing these different volumes that Steve Ditko's work appears in, and just lists all these stories of all these different volumes, and that's it. So he's like pumping out other work, or he's like promoting other work other than this book. He's not talking about this book at all or what his plans are for it, which is just like really confusing to me. But that's, whatever. I don't know. I'm not trying to bash. What's kind of fun is we get these like, a couple of cute little cartoons in the midst of this. I have no idea. There's no credits to who the cartoons are attributed to. There's not a lot of credits even in some of the stories. So I had to like kind of piece together based upon some things that Denise said, because nobody's signing off really on their stories for the most part. But the stories are okay. They're not that funny. I mean, whatever. It's making my camera freak out for some reason. So this next story is Marshall of the Zodiac. Rich Margopoulos. I'm butchering. I'm sorry, Rich, for butchering your name. Another fellow who, worked with DC a little bit and then later did some work for DC or Archie Comics. The writer, Tom Mandrake, is the artist, and, Tom Mandrake has a long-standing history and is still working. DC, Eclipse, First Comics, Image, Marvel. His wife, Jan Dursema, can't remember how her name is pronounced, is an artist as well. They've both had a long-standing career. And I think even one of their children goes to the Kirby School. Oh, yeah, they met at the Kirby School, and they even had their wedding. So anyway, really well illustrated, fun story. It's this guy who's kind of like this like gambler, rogue sort of fellow. He's got this ship called the Zodiac, so it's a fun like flying saucer that's got like all the Zodiac signs around it. And he's got this little team of people. He's apparently in the middle of some kind of like cosmic poker tournament. Out in some, space station somewhere. And he's got a team on the Zodiac ship floating above the planet where he's got like a robot and some other lady that are his main team members that are kind of feeding him information as to what's in this fellow's hand. And I guess they're able to see it through view screens on the TV, and they're just feeding the information back to him. And then essentially what happens is he finds out that he gets caught, this rogue guy, and through this they end up going to trial, and his team members are like, oh my gosh, why are you turning yourself in, and why are you just he kind of volunteered the information of him getting caught. There's some really cool backgrounds, really cool, interesting stuff in this book. I mean, a lot of detail in this particular story. Really cool aliens. I mean, Tom Mandrake really went all out. And this is like the mid-'80s. This is pretty early in his lifelong career. So kudos to him. And the story is like, it's all right. What happens is he goes on trial because it's like this big deal, this particular kind of card game or poker game, cosmic poker game, and he basically got caught or allowed himself to get caught cheating so he could prove that the other guy was cheating worse. And somehow the game is forfeit, and then that guy ends up, going to jail. I don't know. It was just like, what? But really, what was the highlight of this particular story was the awesome, cool sci-fi, artwork. Really nice stuff. We've got a lot of different play on perspectives and just gorgeous Tom Mandrake work. I love all the aliens here. I love stuff like this. Another little cartoon. This one's by Henry Boltinoff. It's cute. All right. And then next is Star Lad. So Star Lad is by a couple of individuals that did a lot of work for creepy and eerie, some of those types of magazines. Vampirella. So William Dubay, or Dubay, Bill Dubay, is the writer. So his stuff is usually kind of, odd and got a weird, creepy bent to it. And the next is Vicatan. I guess it's pronounced Vicatan. His full name was Vincent Doria Catan Jr., but he was known by Vicatan. Vicatan, I don't know. But he was a Filipino comics artist. Did a lot of stuff for House of Mystery, Sergeant Rock, GI Combat, Weird War Tales, House of Secrets. So a lot of different other anthology books and just incredible detailed brushwork. Just fluid all around. And the main story is the little boy who's dying in the hospital, and his doctor comes to him, and this boy is obsessed with superheroes. The doctor says that gives him a tale about being a hero, like alien from another planet, who is kind of like in a race of like Superman type people. You get some really cool, the detailed brushwork on this. And what's great about it is that not only is it's supposed to be this cosmic fantasy tale, but the line work is very dark and very eerie itself. It's got this like kind of terrifying bent, like what you're experiencing with this boy dying, that this tale isn't going to be of all hope and everything. So anyway, the doctor says that he's actually this like alien superhero from another planet. He was on this ship with another individual whose name was Lo Gan, a woman friend of his, and this ship got attacked by this dark being, and basically followed this dark being to planet Earth, and and he's here posing as a doctor trying to find this dark being. And this boy says, hey, let me help out because this dark being doesn't know who I am and you can use me. And this guy's like, okay, great. And it's like, what? And he imbues his powers into the young boy, and the boy becomes Star Lad. And again, see, there's just like this really, insane darkness to it. It doesn't feel heroic at all, and there's a reason for that. So eventually this boy flies off to go find the gal who is the friend of this alien guy. She was another alien gal, and she's stuck in this volcano. Just really gorgeous. This is like Bernie Wrightson level of just amazing textures and tones, all with the brush, you can tell all the way through. Wonderful use of whites here. Just incredible. With this one story, I could learn so much just by taking a look at it. Finds this beast. The little boy takes it out, saves the day, And then at the end of it, what you find out is really it was just all the doctor telling the story to this boy to kind of calm him and to make him feel better. And the boy dies. He just was dying. In his mind, he was like living out this heroic fantasy. And at the end, the doctor's like, "Oh my gosh, the boy died. I was just trying to tell him a story to calm him." But the boy died with a smile on his face. So kind of sad, but beautifully drawn. This is kind of a fun ad. In 54, the Wortham Witch Hunt killed Crime Comics. Now, Crime Comics are back with a vengeance. Mystery. I've got a mystery book or two I'd like to do. Might be fun. She's the mullet-headed detective. Gotta love it. And then we get another Ditko Starguider story. So, you know, we got some of that weird cosmic, you know, goodness, dimensional, multi-dimensional stuff that you get from Doctor Strange. And in this one, Starguider is meeting up with a fellow who has an artifact he needs to take to this other planet. And he uses, because he's trying to like uncover some kind of lost civilization or something. So with his help, Starguider uses his guiding powers to, you know, take this fellow to the planet. We're getting this side female character again who kind of crops up. I want to, you know, she's trying to chase Starguider because she's trying to prove that she can be his partner. Blah, blah, blah. And then eventually they find the right planet and Starguider takes him, and there's this kind of statue thing that the fellow puts the artifact in, and this raging beast comes alive because the artifact was, you know, put in its claws. And this guy is like, aha, now I'm going to be able to, you know, rule the world. Take me back to this planet so I can rule it, and blah, blah, blah. And then Starguider is like, I'm out of here, and just leaves him there. So he's just stuck there on that abandoned planet with nowhere to go, but with this like raging monster. And that's it, really. That's the story. So got this whole array of Renegade Press comics, and then we get some kind of very interesting pencil drawing on the back. Really well done. There's no signature on it, but gorgeous work. Love it. Little normal man ad on the back from Aardvark Vanheim Press, another wonderful independent book. So this is Revolver #1. You know, it's all right. I liked it. It was fun. I mean, there's some stuff that was just like, okay. The other books I think kind of pick up a little bit. Definitely got some more interesting stuff. So it's a pretty good start. I was happy with it, but I'm looking forward to sharing the others with you, and hope you enjoyed it. And we'll talk later, everyone. Keep safe out there and keep it psycho.